Okay, welcome to a quick tutorial on how to do something more like this as a cell phone or organizer. Obviously, this one is just for the purpose of holding a phone. But there is a bit of added complexity because I have created two different bodies. Body one is the base, body two is the back part of it. In order to be able to print this one on its side and this one on the bottom, so that it would not need supports at all. Plus, I can actually print it in two colors, like you've seen. So I'm going to flip from the render menu over to the design menu, and I'm going to turn on all the parts of this so you can kind of see how it was developed. And you can see down here all of these tools you've used in lessons 1 through 6. We've got sketches, we've got extrudes, we've got one construction plane that's at an angle, and that's how I created this cut. There's a couple of combined bodies, which is up here at the top, combined, so that we can make the little spot in the bottom of the base for this part to fit into. We've got some fillets that you've already seen. So really same tools you've been using, very simple to create. Let's go through it real quick. First thing, turn on your origins. First thing we're going to do is I created this circle to show me some reference materials. I needed to know how big that was going to be, and it was 5 centimeters, so that gives me some reference. I actually was able to extrude that as the base, and then I needed to look to about cutting. Where did this go in? I actually used this reference image. This is the one I drew. It took me about 5 minutes to draw this, and you can do that yourself. Then, of course, go ahead and insert canvas and put it in the space, scale it to the size you want. I use the base as a reference. Then I sketched it. I did use some splines here, you can see, to make these curves a little bit better. I didn't really care about, if I click on the front, I didn't care about crossing where the phone was or making it flat. And I'll show you why there in a little bit, because I wanted to make sure that it was perfectly in line with that angle that I wanted for the cell phone to sit in. So I extruded it. There's the extrusion. I did an extrusion on, I think, both sides. Let me see, click. Right here. I had 2 planes, and I did a symmetric of 15 millimeters. That means it was 15 on each side. There's many different ways to do it, but there you go. Then I created a construction plane at an angle, and I used, it's right here, the third one. No, at an angle, it's the second one. Honestly, I use these 2 construction planes the most, and you can see I use this. Let me just push on the front one more time. You can see I used this line that goes across here as the reference, and I put the angle at 55 degrees, I believe. And now that I have this plane that's crossing, I was able to use that to cut this part. So let me just bring up that. This is the feature is called, I think it's called split body, and it does just that. You've used it before in the previous 6 tutorials. So it says, hey, what body do you want to select? Well, this is the one I want to select, and then you have to click over here on the splitting tool, and we're going to use that plane that I created at that angle to split it. And when you said okay, it cuts it, and now I have these 3 little bodies that are apart, and that is going to be a perfectly flat space for the phone to sit on. Moving forward, I can turn those off because I don't want them anymore, and you can see that. I also can turn off my sketches. I actually turn off the sketches. I don't need that construction plane anymore. I actually don't need the canvas anymore, or even my origins. So you can see that's coming along. Now it's just playing around with a few other things. And I did have this issue with his back is kind of sitting off, so I went through a few cutting it so it rounded it off a little bit. You can see that. And then the biggest thing was cutting the space in 2. So what I did is I I turned off the base and I extruded this down into the base. So you can actually see, I just did it extrude. You can just see there. It's just, I extruded it down a little bit. I made sure it was joined. And then I used the function called, instead of cutting, let's see, instead of, it's a combine function. So I used the combine function. And when you do the combine function, you can say, I want this body, and this is the, this is the target body. I want to cut into the base. So I'm going to click on the base as the target body. The tool I want to use in this function is going to be this part down here. And instead of joining, I want to cut. So it's going to cut down into the base using that part I extruded down. And the biggest thing is you have to decide whether you want to keep this tool that you're using or you want to delete it after you're done. I did want to keep it. I say OK. And now you can see if I take this away, I've got the part of the body that is going to slide in. And if I take this part away, I've deleted this. But I need to actually get rid of that part too. So that's the two parts. The rest thing I did was just do some chamfers here, or some fillets just to make it a little bit smoother. I didn't want to get too much into here because I wanted to make sure there was a lot of, and then I sketched an M on here using the sketch menu. And you could put anything you want on here too. You could actually probably add some more functionality here in the base or personalize the whatever this part that is holding the phone is, and then extruded it back. Of course, then I went ahead and this time I wanted to get an STL of the base, and I got an STL of the top, and I printed them separately. All right, thank you.